Hello, aspiring hunters. Welcome to the Hunter Experience. The Zoldyck family and the choice of Killua as the next leader. The Zoldyck family is one of the most fascinating and complex in Hunter x Hunter, and the decision to choose Killua as the next leader instead of Illumi is one of the most intriguing points in their story. To understand this choice, it's essential to dive into the nuances of family dynamics, the personalities of each member, and the expectations surrounding the Zoldyck family's future. I believe the answer is not just about Killua's and Illumi's individual skills, but also involves a series of factors, ranging from Silva and Kikyo's vision to Illumi's own ambitions and limitations. If you're prepared for the incredible Hunter journey, click like and subscribe to the channel to join our troop. Don't forget to comment on who your favorite character is in Hunter x Hunter. Now, let's continue with this incredible story. From the beginning of the series, it's clear that Killua is seen as the most promising member of the family. His natural talent with Nen, his agility and his strategic intelligence are frequently highlighted, but I think there's more to it than that. Killua possesses a certain purity and adaptability that set him apart from his siblings. He is not just a skilled assassin, he is someone who can think outside the box, something crucial for leading a family in a world as unpredictable as Hunter x Hunter. Perhaps this is one of the reasons why Silva and Kikyo decided to invest in him, even though he was still young and in many ways immature. Illumi, on the other hand, is a much darker and more controlling character. His devotion to the family is unquestionable, but it comes with rigidity and a lack of flexibility that could be problematic for a leader. I believe Illumi is the type of person who follows rules strictly without questioning whether they still make sense in the current context. While this trait may be useful for an assassin, it can be a limitation for a leader who needs to make quick and adaptable decisions. Perhaps Silva and Kikyo realized that despite Illumi's extreme competence, he lacked the ability to innovate or handle unforeseen situations in the same way Killua could. Another key point is Illumi's obsession with control. He craves control over both himself and others, which is evident in his Nen technique, where he uses needles to manipulate people, as well as in his interactions with Killua, constantly trying to impose his will on his younger brother. I think this need for control can be seen as a weakness in a leader, especially in a family that must constantly adapt to the changes of the world. A leader who tries to control everything risks stifling the creativity and initiative of other family members, which could be harmful in the long run. Additionally, there's the issue of future vision. Despite his youth, Killua demonstrates the ability to think long-term, something Illumi seems to lack. Throughout the series, we see Killua making decisions that prioritize his freedom and personal growth, even if it means defying his family's expectations. This independence of thought is incredibly valuable in a leader, especially for a family like the Zoldicks, which needs to stay relevant in an increasingly complex and dangerous world. Illumi, on the other hand, seems stuck in a more traditional and rigid view of what it means to be a Zoldyck. He sees the family as a static entity, where each member has a specific and unchangeable role. While this perspective may be effective in a controlled environment, I believe it is insufficient for dealing with future challenges. Perhaps Silva and Kikyo realized that despite Illumi's loyalty and competence, he lacked the ability to lead the family in a new direction, something they may have deemed essential for their survival in the long term. Another factor that may have influenced the decision is Killua's relationship with Aluka. Despite Aluka being seen as a threat by the family, Killua shows deep love and dedication toward his sister, something that differentiates him from Illumi and the other family members. I think this ability to love and sacrifice for someone, even if it goes against the family's expectations, might have impressed Silva and Kikyo. A leader capable of prioritizing the well-being of others over his own ambitions could be exactly what the Zoldyck family needs to reinvent itself and adapt to a constantly changing world. In summary, the choice of Killua as the leader can be seen as a bet on the future. He represents a new generation of Zoldicks more flexible, adaptable, and capable of thinking outside the box. Despite his skills and loyalty, Illumi may have been perceived as too rigid and controlling to lead the family in a new direction. I believe this decision reflects Silva and Kikyo's vision of what the family needs to survive and thrive in an increasingly unpredictable world. However, until Killua officially takes on the role of leader, this choice will continue to be a point of tension and debate within the family. Illumi Zoldyck, why wasn't he chosen as the leader? Illumi Zoldyck is undoubtedly one of the most skilled and dedicated members of the family, but his personality and approach may be exactly what prevented him from being chosen as the leader. To understand why Killua was preferred, it's important to analyze Illumi's traits and how they contrast with the qualities needed for an effective leader. I believe the answer lies in a combination of factors, from his obsession with control to his inability to adapt to unforeseen situations. From the start of the series, Illumi is portrayed as extremely controlling and methodical. His Nen technique, which involves using needles to manipulate people, is a direct reflection of his personality. He needs to have total control over everything and everyone around him. extending even to his relationship with Killua. Multiple times, we see Illumi trying to impose his will on his younger brother, whether through threats or direct manipulation. I believe this need for control can be seen as a weakness in a leader, especially in a family that must constantly adapt to changes in the world. A leader who tries to control everything risks stifling the creativity and initiative of other family members. In an organization like the Zoldicks, where each member has unique and specialized skills, it is essential for the leader to delegate and trust others. However, Illumi seems to struggle with this. He prefers to keep everything under his direct control, which could limit the family's potential as a whole. Perhaps Silva and Kikyo realize that this trait in Illumi would be an obstacle to the family's growth and adaptation. Furthermore, there's the issue of Illumi's rigidity. He is someone who follows rules strictly, without questioning whether they still make sense in the present context. While this trait is useful for an assassin, it can be a limitation for a leader who needs to make quick and adaptable decisions. I think Illumi is the type of person who would rather stick to a pre-established plan, even if it's no longer effective, rather than risk trying a new approach. This lack of flexibility could be problematic in a world as unpredictable as Hunter x Hunter. Another important point is Illumi's view on family. He sees the Zoldyck family as a static entity where each member has a specific and unchanging role. This perspective may be effective in a controlled environment, but I believe it is not enough to handle the challenges of the future. A leader needs to be able to see beyond traditions and expectations, something Illumi seems unable to do. Perhaps Silva and Kikyo realize that Illumi, despite his loyalty and competence, lacked the ability to lead the family in a new direction, something they might have seen as essential for their long-term survival. Illumi's relationship with Killua may have also influenced their decision. Illumi sees Killua as an extension of himself, someone who must follow his orders without question. This limited and controlling perspective may have been a decisive factor in choosing Killua as the leader. I think Silva and Kikyo recognize that Killua, despite his youth, possessed an independence of thought and an adaptability that Illumi simply did not have. A leader who can think for himself and make decisions based on his own convictions might be exactly what the Zoldyck family needs to reinvent itself and adapt to an ever-changing world. Another interesting dimension of this choice is the question of each brother's character and personal motivations. Throughout the series, Killua demonstrates a deep desire for freedom, something that not only distances him from the traditional role of the family's successor, but also puts him in conflict with the expectations placed upon him. Killua's desire for freedom is more than just a whim of a teenager. It is a search for his own identity beyond the shadow of his lineage of assassins. By being chosen, he could be seen as a bet on a future where the Zoldicks are not just a feared and respected force, but a family capable of existing in a more dynamic and integrated way with the world. On the other hand, Illumi, with his absolute commitment to order and tradition, does not show this kind of yearning. His vision is more aligned with maintaining the family's legacy intact, leaving no room for change or evolution. While Killua envisions an alternative path, perhaps even a way to escape the family's constraints, Illumi is entirely focused on preserving the rigid structure of the Zoldyck family. This difference in vision is in fact a reflection of the complex relationships within the Zoldyck family and how each member positions themselves regarding the future they envision for it. Killua's leadership, with his ability to adapt and think unconventionally, seems to be the ideal model for facing the challenges the Zoldicks will encounter as the world around them continues to change rapidly. Whether due to his strategic ability, his more progressive vision, or his willingness to make personal sacrifices for the greater good, Killua's selection proves to be more than just a matter of who is the strongest or most skilled. It is a pragmatic decision to ensure that the Zoldyck family does not become stagnant, shaping itself according to the demands of an unpredictable future. Hunters, that was our video for today. Leave a like if you enjoyed our video, subscribe to the channel as it is still very new, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then.